Hello friends, I am Reshmi. Welcome to SRS Info. Today we will do the chapter 1 of Pharmaceutics 1, that is pharmaceutical dosage forms and new drug delivery systems. We will cover the first portion, that is pharmaceutical dosage forms today. What is pharmaceutical dosage form? These are the pharmaceutical drug products in the form in which they are marketed for use. Let me explain. Normally, the pharmaceutical products are manufactured in bulk quantities, but when we use to the patient, it is used by very little unit dosage form. And these dosage forms are taken by packing in a single dosage forms. That is why it is called as unit dose. It is this unit dosage form through which the drugs are delivered to the body, delivered to the human body. Something more about the unit dose. It contains active pharmaceutical ingredient and excipients. This is unit dose. It contains active pharmaceutical ingredient and excipients. This active pharmaceutical ingredient is the exactly what is known as medicine, the crude drugs. And what do excipients do? It gives the shape, increase stability, and increase palatability of the drugs. These are the function of excipients which are added to the active pharmaceutical ingredients together, which form the unit dosage form of drug. And the excipients act as suspending agent, coloring agent, preservatives, sweetening, and flavoring agent. These are all the functions of active pharmaceutical, these are all the functions of excipients. Okay, and now the unit doses are non-reusable packaging. What does it actually mean? Now let us see, this is a tablet taken by the patient. It cannot be reused. This is a single capsule used by the patient. It cannot be reused. So non-reusable packaging. Unit dose mean non-reusable packaging. It also means this is the distinct product packaged together. Example, tablet and capsule. Let me explain. This is a strip of tablet. It contains 10 or 15 tablets of the particular drug. Single drug packaged in a strip. It contains multiple tablets, number of tablets. Distinct product packaged together. And some other explanation, that is single product containing multiple drug or doses. For example, this is a syrup bottle. This is 200 ml bottle of any of the syrup. And the patient has to take 5 ml BD, 5 ml in morning and 5 ml in evening. So he shake well this bottle and open the bottle, take 5 ml in morning and 5 ml in evening, 10 ml consumed in a day. And the rest of the 190 ml he keeps for the next time usage. So single product containing multiple doses or multiple drugs. This bottle may contain multiple drugs also. A syrup made up of multiple ingredient, multiple drugs or multiple doses. This is contained in a single bottle. When we go to a medical shop or in a hospital pharmacy, the pharmacist will give you a single bottle. Whether you have to take in one day, once in a day, twice in a day, thrice in a day, he will give you a single bottle. That is explained here, single product containing multiple drugs or doses. Example, syrup, inhaler, drops and creams. Okay, and why there are different dosage forms for a single particular drug? Is there any need? Yeah, of course. Look here. For example, this is paracetamol. It's a drug. It comes as tablet form of 500 mg, 650 mg, 250 mg of tablet form. You also see that there are IV form of paracetamol, injection form, okay, and suspension form, syrup form for kids. All these forms you may see in various types of hospital or pharmacy, etc. And do you think actually is there any need of this different dosage form for a single particular drug? Paracetamol is a single particular drug, but it comes under different dosage forms as tablet, IV or suspension. Is there any need? Yes, of course there is need. Why? What are the needs? There are some reasons for that. The most important reason is different medical conditions demand different routes of administration, and this different routes of administration leads to the formation of different dosage forms. Let me explain. Different medical conditions. One patient has some difficulties to take the medicines in orally, and in some other cases oral drugs may cause nausea and vomiting. In that cases it refer IV form or any other mode of administration. In that case the IV of that special medical content has to prepared. That is what I am explained here. Different medical conditions demand different routes of administration, and these different routes of administration prefer the formation of different dosage forms like tablet, injection, suspension, or any other inhaler, something, etc. Okay. And the second most important reason is requirement of specific dosage form for specific kind of drugs, where the dosage form affect the chemical stability or pharmacokinetics. I will explain you as an example. Let me take insulin as an example. Insulin cannot be administered orally as it increases the GI metabolism before reaching the bloodstream. That is, when we take insulin as oral administration, it increases the gastrointestinal metabolism before reaching the bloodstream. You know that the medicine starts its action in the bloodstream, where it takes place ADME: administration, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. You know it? And every drug takes its action from the bloodstream. So before reaching the bloodstream, it increases the GA metabolism. So insulin cannot provide the desired action to that particular patient. So that insulin never preferred to give through orally. That is written here. Requirement of specific dosage forms. Specific dosage form for specific kind of drugs like insulin. Specific kind of drugs demand specific dosage forms. I used the term pharmacokinetics here. What does it mean? It concerned with the movement of drugs within the body. It's a science. It's a branch of science deals with the movement of drugs within the body. So depending on the chemical stability or pharmacokinetics, the specific kind of drugs required the specific dosage forms only. Okay. Now let us see the classification of dosage forms. There are different factors based on which the classification of dosage forms have been done, like method of preparation, route of administration, states of matter, etc. One of the most important and simple method of classification is on the basis of the states of matter or its appearance. These are solid, liquid, semi-solid, and gas. This is the first type of classification. And in solid classification, pills, tablets, capsules, powder, dusting powders, all are coming under solid classification. And you see here, pills, tablets, capsules, all are single unit dose. These are used in a single time usage forms. And in many cases, powder and dusting powders you can see as bulk dosage forms. In very rare cases, powder can be seen as in sachet, just like electrol powder, ORS, Econom, something, etc. Okay, but in most of the cases, you can see that powder and dusting powders are coming under bulk containers, bulk dosage forms. And the second one is liquid, syrup, drops, elixir, emulsion, suspension, etc. All are coming under liquid dosage form. Even again, the liquid dosage forms are further classified into two, that is monophasic and biphasic liquid dosage forms. Biphasic dosage forms, we can see that water in oil and oil in water. You will study detail about these things in next year classes. I'm just explained you that liquid dosage forms are classified into two, monobasic and biphasic, and mainly the liquid dosage forms are syrup, drops, elixir, emulsion, suspension, etc. The third category is semi-solid, like creams, jelly, application, paste, suppositories, pessaries. All these are coming under semi-solid. It's not complete solid or it is not complete liquid. It's in the middle category. And the fourth one is gaseous forms like aerosol, inhalers, etc. You can see the picture of inhalers, the gaseous form. From this inhaling machine, the gas is released. This is gaseous forms. This is the first type of classification. And what is the second one? The second type of classification is on the basis of the route of administration. On the basis of route of administration. First one was on the basis of its appearance or the states of matter. The second is on the basis of route of administration. What are they? The first is oral. All these medicines are coming under oral route of administration. This can be given as oral route through the patient, that is tablet, capsule, syrup, sublingual, liquid preparation, suspension. All these are coming under oral form of administration. And the next is parenteral route of administration. What is coming under parenteral route of administration? All these are coming under parenteral route of administration. These are intradermal, subcutaneous, intramuscular, intraosseous, intraperitoneal, intravenous drugs. All these are coming under parenteral route of administration. And this parenteral route of administrative drugs are known as parenteral dosage forms. What is intradermal? It is known as within the layers of skin. You can administer the drug within the layers of skin. What is subcutaneous? The medicines can be administered into the subcutaneous tissue, that is under the skin. And the next is intramuscular. What is intramuscular? It is into the muscle. The medicine is administered into the muscular tissue. And the next is intraosseous. What does intraosseous means? Injecting directly into the bone marrow. When the drug is directly injected into the bone marrow, it is known as intraosseous drug. Intraperitoneal administration. What does it mean? What is peritoneal area? These are the areas nearby the abdominal organs like stomach and intestine. When a drug is administered directly into this peritoneal area, we can say that it is intraperitoneal administrative drug. And the next is intravenous, through veins. The drugs which were administered through veins, we are known as intravenous drugs. All these are coming under parenteral dosage forms. Parenteral route of administrative dosage forms. The next is ophthalmic. What is ophthalmic? It is related to eyes. Most of the eye preparations are in liquid dosage form, and some cases are coming under as ointment, etc. And this ophthalmic route of administration, the drugs which are administered to eyes are known as ophthalmic dosage forms. The next is inhalers. What is inhalers? The drugs which are administered by inhalation. The drugs which are administered by inhalation, inhalative method, that is aerosols, nebulizer, inhaler, vaporizer. All these are administered by inhalation method. Okay, I think you are following my words. The next is topical route of administration. The drugs which are administered through topically. What is topical means? What is basically topical means? The drugs or medication that is applied on or in the body. On or in the body is known as topical form of administrative drugs. It means the medicines are applied to the body surface, skin or mucous membrane. Body surface is skin or mucous membrane. Skin or mucous membrane. This is known as topical. Okay, applied on or in the body. On or in the body, that we can call as topical form of administration. Ointments, skin patches, vaginal rings, powder, cream, gel, ear drops, all these are coming under topical form of administrative dosage forms. Okay, next is suppository. What is suppository? These are the small round or cone shaped object that put into the body, that is we can simply call as suppository. Vaginal, rectal, urethral and nasal suppositories are commonly used. I think you got it. Now we saw different types of classification. One is on the basis of appearance, okay, and the second is on the basis of route of administration. On the basis of appearance, we see liquid, solid, semi-solid, gases, etc. And on the basis of route of administration, we see parenteral, inhalation, topical, suppository, oral route of administration, etc. Now, we just focus on this gaseous form of administration. The drugs which are classified on the basis of its appearance, we see liquid, solid, semi-solid and gases. And now we focus on this gaseous form. The most important form is aerosol. What is aerosol? The pressurized dosage form of medicament in which the liquid or solid drug or drugs dissolved or suspended in a gas, that is called as aerosol. Let me explain. A medicament, that is a form of drug which may be liquid or solid, single drug or multiple drug, and this drug is pressurized. This drug is pressurized. The pressurized form of this drug is dissolved or suspended in a gas. This drug is dissolved or suspended in a gas, and that gas is known as propellant. Simply we can call it as the pressurized form of drug or drugs is dissolved or suspended in a propellant, that we can call as aerosols. And these aerosols is the packing is in aerosol container. This aerosol is particularly packed in the container what we called as aerosol container. And simply this aerosol container is used in inhaler. And I think you may familiar with this word inhaler. And how this inhaler or aerosol is working? What is its working method? The method is when pressure is applied to this aerosol system, the contents or the medicine is expelled through the valve of the aerosol system. That is the machinery, the inhaler machinery. Through the inhaler machinery, when the pressure is applied to the system, the medicine content is expelled through the valve in the form of mist, coarse, wet, dry spray or stream or foam. It may released out in the form of mist or coarse, wet or dry spray, cold spray, wet spray or dry spray, or stream or foam. All these forms. In the form of mist, coarse or stream or foam, the medical content is expelled through this aerosol valve. This is the mechanism. How do the aerosol work out? This is a very important question in your academical session. I think you clear about this working mechanism of aerosols and what is aerosol. Now, let us see what are the uses of aerosols. One of the main uses in respiratory diseases. The area where aerosol most commonly used is respiratory diseases, just like asthma. In this case, the aerosols are atomized in atomizers or nebulizers. And one of the most important point you have to note here is that the viscosity of the viscous solution is directly proportional to the power of the atomizer. What I am trying to say is, when the viscosity of the solution, the medical solution which is pressurized and dissolved in the suspended gas, that is the propellant, when the viscosity of the solution increases, the power of the atomizer is automatically increases. It has to increase the power of the atomizer or the nebulizer, so that the viscosity of the solution is directly proportional. The viscosity of the solution is directly proportional to the power of the atomizer or the nebulizer. Next most important point is, when the potent drug is used, mainly in the cases of respiratory diseases, the drug is dissolved or suspended in a solvent or propellant, that is the propellant gas, and it is enclosed in a container with a meter device. This meter device is very important. Why? Otherwise, the unlimited dose may come out. When you give the pressure, the unlimited dose may come out, but it should not be allowed because this is a potent drug. Okay. So this meter device allows to deliver measured dose. This is one of the most important points in the cases of potent drugs when we use aerosols in respiratory diseases. And the next use is as oral and topical. Oral and topical use is also preferred when we use in aerosol. What happening in that case? In that case, it is used orally and topically, and its uses are local analgesic, antiseptic, fungicidal agents, antibiotics, anti-inflammatory, etc. In the local analgesic spray, there are different types of spray are coming as in the aerosol method. This is a wound, for example, in our body, and we just spray this local analgesic into that area. There is no need to touch with our finger or our hand, so the pain can be less. So this is the main advantage when we use the aerosols in topical analgesic. And we are also using antiseptic, fungicidal agents, antibiotic, anti-inflammatory through this aerosol method. These are the main uses of aerosols. Now we see the uses of aerosols, and now we can see the advantages and the disadvantages of the aerosol system. Advantages are more and disadvantages are less, but let us see. The main advantages are it is very convenient to carry a small inhaler machine. It is very easy to carry within the pocket. We have to travel anywhere, we have to stay for some other else, so it is nothing to worry about how to carry this. It is very convenient to carry and very easy to apply without touching the painful surface. I have already explained you in the previous slide that if there is a wound, just apply the spray. And if there is any inflammation, if it's very painful, nothing to worry, just apply the spray. There is no need to touch the surface. And measured and unit dose can be administered by metered valves. I have explained to you in the cases of potent drug, and even in very simple drugs also, the metered valves are attached so that the measured required doses is only released out, and the products remain free from contamination. How? It is very airtight containers. The aerosol containers are very airtight containers. So it is very free from contamination. It's very free from the air, the outer air, so that contamination is free. And when there is no contamination, obviously the sterility is maintained. So free from contamination, and it is strictly maintained sterility. And there is no air, no water, so hydrolysis is prevented. There is no water entered into this airtight containers, and no humidity enters, so there is no possibility of hydrolysis also. These are the main advantages: convenient to carry, easy to apply, measured unit doses can be administered, and the product are remain free from contamination, sterility is maintained, and hydrolysis is prevented. And what are the disadvantages? Yeah, of course. Disadvantages can be maintained by the specific technology, special machinery, and techniques for filling and sealing of pressurized aerosols. These techniques are very unique, and this means special machinery. So these aerosols are very costly compared to other form of medical administrative methods, other dosage forms. And frequent use, it's very easy to use, so there is a tendency to use it frequent times, multiple times to the patients. Frequent use may lead to adverse drug reaction. So it is very convenient to use, very easy to carry, so it may increases the risk of adverse drug reaction. So it is very important to control the use of this aerosols. These are the disadvantages and these are the advantages. It may ask in the examination. It's very important point to remember. Today, we discussed about the different types of classification of dosage forms, and the mainly focused on the aerosol form of dosage forms. And in the next session, we will continue with the further dosage forms and their classifications and their detail, etc. I hope you understand this session. Please revise and use a medical dictionary always with you, because it will support you to understand the specific terms and meanings. Okay, and if you have any doubt or queries, please ask in the comment box, and please make revise. We will meet in the next class in the next week. Thank you. If you like our initiative, please like, share, and subscribe.